Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing really well because today we're talking about music, and today we're talking about a new upcoming album off of Pirate Press Records. This is the debut LP from Bay Area punk rockers Hunting Lions. This is King of the Avenue, out February 2nd on 2024. It's going to be out on vinyl, plain black vinyl, as well as a really cool splattered release. I'll have some pictures kind of moving all around while I'm chit-chatting. Um, as before, this was a preview code provided to me from Pirate Press Records. So once again, thank you so much to the fine folks at Pirate Press. And this is just a really, really cool release. If you're into the US Bombs, Roadside Bombs, Swingin Utters, if you're a fan of those bands, check this out, because not only is this album made up of members from those bands, like on vocals, you got Ben Coleman, for example. That's sort of the sound we're going for on this. So let's backtrack a bit. So previously the band has released two EPs. So this is their debut. But as I'm going through the track list, if you're thinking like, hey, that's kind of familiar. So they took their light EP, they took their dark EP, put them together as for a debut, and that's a great way to release it, because I'd slept on this band, but after hearing this, I'm glad I got that sent to me, because it's a great release. So it's 10 tracks long, made up of their previous two EPs together as an album. So if you're into that sort of not so much melodic hardcore, but like melodic punk with that street punk influence, a little bit of oi, not a lot, but kind of a dash of that attitude and that oi feeling. That's what you're getting on here, sort of that gritty rock and roll attitude, and a few surprises as well. It's just a really cool album. I like it a lot. Let's go through the tracks, because I made a few notes on sort of the ones that stick out to me. It's all great. There's nothing on here that I think is you should be skipping over. But there's a few things that really stand out to me. So the opener, The City, I think that's a really good ethos, a really good symbol for what you get on the rest of the album. Great chorus, great sing-along chorus, lyrically recovering stuff about, urban decay, love and loss, a lot of sort of the same topics we might cover from those bands previously, and it works really well here. Then we got Kota Wars, the third track. I really like that. That feels like it has a bit of a D beat influence on it, and that's really cool. It's not a D beat song, right? It's not going to appease any Discharge fans or anything like that, but it's got a little bit of that feeling to it, and I like that a lot. Then we go B&O, and then we finish off, or well, I guess we're not finishing. If this was the two EPs, we'd be going to Dead Generation. Now that song I really enjoyed. It's got another really catchy chorus. If you are in Canada, you might recall like 20 years ago a band called Jersey out of Ontario, and this song Dead Generation kind of makes me think of them a bit, and that's a lot of fun, because that brings me back to when I was a big fan of that band, and I like that a lot. Then we go into Little Girl. That's another really catchy song. I like that one a lot. Maggie's Date. That's sort of the ballad on this album, if you will. It's comparatively, it's a punk ballad. So, comparatively, it's a slower song, and it's much more emotional, much more raw. There's a lot of raw and kind of emotional tracks on here, such as the next one, Good Riddance, raw in an angry way. This one's raw in like a longing way, and it's really nice. It's really good. I like that a lot. As I said, Good Riddance, next track. We're not longing to be with this person anymore. We're saying good riddance. And then Hungry Heart, we're kind of getting near the end, and it feels like one of those tracks where you're sort of nearing the end of the album when it's not repetitive. I'm not going to say it's bad because it's repetitive, because we are looking at melodic punk. So I mean, there is a limit to how experimental we're going to go. But it feels like, yeah, we're kind of wrapping up our loose ends. We're getting back into gear. And then we end with Nothing Wrong, which is a great closer. To me, a great closer for any kind of album, but especially like a genre that lends itself to kind of slower, catchy songs. I will say, actually, Maggie's Date's 5.5 minutes, so definitely not a slow, or it's a slow song, but not a short song. It's one of those closers where you kind of want to then backtrack to the beginning of the album, listen to it in sequence again. It's one of those really kind of great tunes that, if The City opens up the album in a great way, Nothing Wrong closes it out in like a way that makes you feel good. You feel empowered after listening to this album. You feel more affirmed in yourself after listening to this album. And that's just a great power that music has, and it's a great album. And so I think if you haven't checked out Hunting Lions, but you're into stuff like Swinging Utters, especially. For me, it was the US Bombs. I hadn't read the press release. I just got the code and started listening. I was like, this sounds like not something I've heard before in a bad way, but it's like, I think this band is made up of expert players. And then when I read the release, it's like, ah, yes, yes, I see that now. So if you're a fan of those bands, check this out. You're really going to enjoy it. And that splatter vinyl looks really cool. So check that out as well. I'm going to have purchasing links down below. So yeah, check it out. And once again, thank you, Pirate Press. This is out February 2nd. So catch it then, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.